Have you ever wondered how much of your life is truly yours? How many choices you make each day are not choices at all, but responses to invisible pressures, expectations, judgments, whispers of approval or disapproval. You wake up in the morning, and already, before the first breath of freedom, you feel the eyes of others upon you. The silent tribunal is in session. Will you be accepted today? Will you be admired? Will you be dismissed, ignored, ridiculed? We spend our lives chained to an audience we never chose. Parents, partners, colleagues, strangers online, each of them holding a small piece of our self-worth in their hands. And we desperate to be seen, desperate to be liked. Perform like actors who have forgotten the difference between the stage and reality. Our lives become theater, and we confuse applause with love, recognition with meaning, likes with identity. But here's the bitter truth. No matter how hard you try, no matter how much you give, you will always fail to satisfy the endless hunger of others' opinions. Today they praise you, tomorrow they will forget you. Today you meet their standard, tomorrow the standard shifts. You live in pursuit of a moving target, running faster and faster, yet going nowhere. What is the cost of this endless performance? It is not only exhaustion, it is the quiet erosion of your soul. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, you stop asking the most important question of all. What do I want? You no longer know if your desires are yours or if they are borrowed from the crowd. Your life becomes a mirror, reflecting back not your essence, but the expectations of those around you, and perhaps in your most silent hours you feel it. That gnawing emptiness, that sense that you are wearing a mask so long it has fused with your skin. You suspect that the freedom you were promised, the freedom to be yourself, was sold for the cheap comfort of approval. So let me ask you directly, when was the last time you lived a single day, single moment, without caring what anyone thought? Of you, you live surrounded by noise. Every message you send, every photo you post, every sentence you speak is haunted by a question you never say aloud. How will they see me? You hesitate before sharing your thoughts because you know someone will disagree. You soften your words, polish your image, disguise your flaws not for truth, but for safety. And so your life becomes a negotiation with fear. Look closely at the routine you call living. You go to work not because you burn with purpose, but because you fear the judgment of failure. You accept invitations not because you long for connection, but because you dread the label of being difficult or distant. Even your pleasures are tainted. You buy clothes, cars, gadgets, not out of desire, but out of the unspoken need to display, to prove, to signal that you belong. It is not joy that drives you, but the terror of being excluded. And the more you bend to this invisible tribunal, the weaker you become. Your self-esteem no longer grows from the inside, it shrinks, depending entirely on the unpredictable weather of other people's moods. A compliment becomes oxygen, and a criticism feels like death. You find yourself addicted to validation, craving it like a drug. The silence of indifference hurts more than words, because in that silence you cease to exist. What happens to a person who lives like this? Slowly they disappear. It's the authentic self, the one with strange ideas, unpopular desires, dangerous. Honesty gets buried under layers of masks. Beneath those masks, suffocating in silence, lies the part of you that remembers freedom. You were not born to be a servant of opinions, yet here you are, shackled by invisible chains, applauding your own captivity. The most insidious part of this prison is that it feels normal. Everyone around you is playing the same game, competing for attention, bending for approval. So you tell yourself it must be life itself. But it is not life, it is submission disguised as belonging. And every day you obey it, you lose another. A fragment of your will, another spark of your power. So let me ask you, how many dreams have you abandoned just because someone might laugh? How many truths have you swallowed because someone might frown? How many times have you betrayed yourself quietly, politely just to be liked? Carl Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." First glance, the sentence seems simple, almost gentle, but beneath it lies a brutal demand. If you are not living as yourself, then your entire existence is a masquerade. To become who you truly are is not comfort. It is conflict. It requires tearing away every borrowed mask, every borrowed desire, until what remains is raw and unshaped, your authentic being. Nietzsche echoed the same truth with even greater fire. Become who you are, not who your parents wanted, not who your friends expect, not who society applauds. Who you are. He warned us that the herd will always resist the individual who dares to step out of line. The masses fear the one who no longer fears their disapproval. Why? Because such a person is untouchable. Their worth cannot be bought with applause, nor destroyed with mockery. Freud, though different in tone, revealed the same wound from another angle. Much of human anxiety, he argued, stems from the repression of authentic impulses in order to fit the moral order of society. To live constantly under the gaze of others is to suffocate under an endless should. And so the message from these thinkers converges. Liberation is impossible without courage. Imagine yourself as a puppet on a stage. The strings are invisible, but they pull you all the same. Each string belongs to someone else, your boss, your family, your partner, your peers, even strangers who will never know your name. With every movement you make, you believe you are choosing freely, yet in truth, your dance is choreographed by countless expectations. You bow when they applaud, you stumble when they frown. The stage is your life, and the audience owns your body. But the most sinister trick is this. Over time, you begin to pull the strings yourself. You internalize the voices. You repeat the judgments. You punish yourself before anyone else has the chance. You scroll through your phone, measuring your worth by the silent numbers on a glowing screen: likes, followers, views. You say to yourself, if they approve, then I exist. If they ignore me, then I am nothing. This is no longer a performance. It is slavery. Think of how this plays out in your daily life. You want to say no to a request, but the word dies in your throat because you fear rejection. You want to speak a dangerous truth, but you bite your tongue because you fear ridicule. You want to pursue a dream, but you paralyze yourself because you fear failure under the spotlight of judgment. And so your days are filled not with what you desire, but with what you fear losing. Acceptance. Here lies the paradox. The more you seek approval, the less you receive it, because approval is never stable. It is conditional, fleeting, dependent on others' shifting moods and values. Today, you are celebrated. Tomorrow, you are forgotten. Today, you are praised. Tomorrow, condemned. You run endlessly on the treadmill of recognition, exhausting yourself, but arriving nowhere. It is like chasing the horizon, forever visible, forever unreachable. And what does this endless chase create within you? Resentment, anxiety, envy. You begin to see life as a competition, where someone else's success diminishes your own worth. If they rise, you feel you must fall. If they are admired, you fear being overshadowed. You no longer celebrate others, you secretly wish for their collapse, because their light exposes your darkness. Relationships turn into battles, friendships into silent rivalries, love into a contract of expectations. What began as the pursuit of belonging transforms into isolation. But beneath this struggle lies something deeper, a profound forgetting of yourself. When you spend your life adjusting to others, you neglect the one person whose opinion truly matters, your own. You forget that you are not here to live someone else's script. You are here to carve your own. Yet the longer you obey, the harder it becomes to remember your essence. The voice of your true self grows faint, like an echo fading in an empty cave. Here is the cruelest irony. The approval you crave will never fill the emptiness you carry. Why? Because that emptiness is shaped. Like you, no amount of applause can substitute for authenticity. No recognition can replace integrity. What you seek outside is only found within, but you have been taught to ignore that place, to fear it, to bury it under layers of masks. The truth is harsh. You are not suffering because others dislike you. You are suffering because you dislike yourself whenever you fail to please them. That is the real prison. It's not the opinions of others, but your surrender to them. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, whose life am I really living? When you wake in the morning, are your first thoughts your own, or are they already borrowed from the expectations of others? How many of your choices are truly born from desire, and how many from fear of rejection? So I leave you with this challenge. Dare to disappoint. Dare to be disliked. Dare to live in such a way that no one can define you but yourself. You may lose the crowd. You may even lose the comfort of belonging. But in return, you will gain the only thing worth having: the unshakable knowledge that, for once, you are alive as you. If this video helped you in any way, leave a like and share it with someone who needs to hear this too. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we can keep growing together. See you in the next video. Stay strong on your journey. Think of the countless times you have said yes when your whole being was screaming no. Why did you do it? Because you didn't want to be disliked. Because the thought of conflict terrified you more than the pain of self-betrayal. And if that is true, then whose comfort are you protecting, yours or theirs? Look back at the dreams you once held. Which of them have you buried? Not because they were impossible, but because you feared ridicule. How many moments of courage have you strangled in silence because you imagined the laughter of others echoing in advance? How many times have you walked away from your own path just to stay on the crowded road of approval? And here's the most uncomfortable question of all. Who are you when no one is watching? Do you recognize that person? Do you even like them? Or have you lived so long for the gaze of others that you are a stranger to yourself? If the answer unsettles you, let it. Discomfort is not your enemy, is the alarm clock of the soul ringing to remind you that you are still asleep, still living for the eyes of others. There comes a moment when you must decide: continue living as a shadow, or dare to step into the light of your own being. No one can make this choice for you. Approval will not save you. Recognition will not heal you. Only the courage to stand alone can set you free. This courage does not come from shouting louder or from trying to dominate the crowd. It begins in silence. In silence, the noise of the world fades, and you begin to hear the faint whisper of your true self. Silence is not weakness, it is power. The one who can remain still, who does not need to justify, who can bear the discomfort of being misunderstood, has already escaped the prison of approval. Set boundaries. Learn to say no. Not as rejection of others, but as affirmation of yourself. Every no to what diminishes you is a yes to what strengthens you. People may dislike you for it. They may withdraw, criticize, abandon. Let them. Better to be disliked for your truth than celebrated for your disguise. Carl Jung called this process individuation, the journey of becoming whole, of integrating shadow and light, of claiming every part of yourself, even though society tells you to hide. Individuation is not about perfection. It is about authenticity. It means standing before the world with your flaws, your contradictions, your wounds, and saying, "This is me. I will not live as an echo any longer." Understand this. The goal is not to destroy relationships, but to purify them. When you no longer seek approval, you can finally love without chains, give without bargaining, exist without performing. Your presence becomes a gift, not a plea. The path is not easy. You will feel loneliness. You will feel fear. But these are the birth pains of freedom. What is born from them is not the fragile identity others gave you, but the unshakable self that has been waiting beneath the masks. And once you taste this freedom, even for a moment, you will realize no applause, no recognition, no borrowed validation is worth more than the fierce peace of being yourself in the end. The hardest truth is also the simplest. Not everyone will like you. Some will misunderstand you. Some will despise you. Some will quietly erase you from their lives. And that is not a tragedy. It is freedom. Because the moment you accept rejection as inevitable, the moment you stop trembling before the court of opinion, you step outside the game entirely. You no longer live as a hostage. You live as yourself. Yes, there will be loneliness. When you stop playing the performance, the theater empties. The audience drifts away. The silence may feel unbearable at first, like standing in a vast, cold desert. But listen carefully. In that silence, your true voice begins to emerge. The loneliness, You fear is not emptiness. It is the fertile ground of selfhood. Only when the crowd leaves can you finally meet the one who has been waiting all along. Schopenhauer warned us that life swings like a pendulum between pain and boredom. But there is a third path, one he only hinted at: the path of authenticity. Pain loses its sting when it belongs to your chosen struggle. Boredom dissolves when you live from your core. Existence becomes lighter, not because it is easy, but because it is yours. Freedom is not applause. Freedom is not admiration. Freedom is not recognition. Freedom is the ability to walk alone, carrying nothing but your truth, and still feel whole.